friends. Thank you all for joining me. Today, I want to talk about my thoughts on the Mario Kart Deluxe 8, or 8 Deluxe, Wave 2 set of tracks. I'm first going to give my overview of the wave as a whole, and then I'm going to talk about each individual track. So let's get started. First off, my two impressions of said wave 2, is one, it looks significantly better than the first wave. Now, I wasn't one of those people who thought that the first wave necessarily looked awful, but I will admit it did look kinda rushed. Not like lazy, some people are saying lazy. It clearly was not lazy, but it did feel very rushed, like they had this idea and they wanted to get it out, so it met a certain deadline or something like that. However, it seems like there's a lot more care put into Wave 2 for one reason or another, and I think it's important that we appreciate that. The second thing I noticed, really, is the lack of Mario Kart Double Dash support. The base game only has 4 tracks in Double Dash, with 2 of them really being mediocre, the Ice one and the Desert one. And when I heard about these waves, I was really hoping to get some more Double Dash tracks, like the Wario one in a cage match thing, or the Double Dash version of Rainbow Road, or even the Dinosaur track. But so far, Double Dash has definitely gotten the short end of the stick. But we have a lot more waves to go, so hopefully we have more Double Dash support. So with all that said, let's get on to the actual tracks. The first cup in this Wave 2 is the Turnip Cup. And we begin with New York Minute. Now I guess the third thing that I noticed about these, that I just now noticed, when I tried out the new tracks, is how I feel about the tour tracks as a whole. In my previous video, I believe I mentioned some positive things mostly about the inclusion of the tour tracks. Well, I've kind of gone on to 180 about that. Playing New York Minute made me realize that these tracks really stick out like a sore thumb. Like, they clearly are not made for Mario Kart. If you play any other Mario Kart track, retro track on this game, it feels like it's still Mario Kart, even if they have updated it a little bit. But the Mario Kart Tour tracks really feel like an outsider. New York Minute has the same problems the other tour tracks have, where there's big swaths of nothing happening. Like, I know I have not played Tour, but I have seen demos, and I know it plays a lot different than your traditional Mario Kart game. There's like long straightaways of nothing happening with very simple, smooth or sharp turns. You either have very smooth, curved turns that take forever to get through, or you have very sharp 90-degree turns, which with any even novice player with decent skills in drifting get through. Now, it's not all bad. It looks fine. It kind of looks like New York, although it looks a little more like a New York. Looks a little more like New Donk City, honestly. But it doesn't look bad. I do like in the third lap it goes through some kind of building, but it's definitely is pretty weak and a little underwhelming. It's kind of sad that I started my impression of this new wave with that. But I have to be honest, I know why they're doing these tour tracks. They want to promote a game that they're probably making a crap ton of money on, but for me, it's not that great. I'm hoping they weed off the tour tracks as we go on, because now that I've played them, it's like they really don't fit into my car that well. I know that's a complete 180 of what I did in my previous video, but minds can change. Alright, the second track that I would play, because what I did is, like with the last one, I just played both in Grand Prix a couple times just to get the feel down of the tracks. So the second track in this is Mario Circuit 3. It's from the Super NES, but my first exposure to the Super NES tracks was on the Game Boy game, Super Circuit, where if you completed all of the cups, you actually unlocked Retro Cups, which were all of the tracks from the Super NES. I also played this track in Mario Kart Wii, so this is actually the 4th time there's been, at least I think this is the 4th time, unless it was on the DS game as well. This is the 4th time this track has been on. And I will say, it's actually a pretty neat inclusion. I think the track is quite fun. It was fun in Mario Kart Wii, it's fun now. The only thing I would say about the track is the way they updated it is pretty weak. I would have much preferred them go the Mario Circuit GBA that they did in this game. You know, where they make it more modern. Like that, the GBA Mario Circuit that is in one of the retro cups is one of my favorite tracks actually. I think they do a great job of not only modernizing it for the game, but also keeping true to its feel. And they could have done something like that here, but they decided to keep it its flat self. You could even do the donut plane. Is that what it's called? Yeah, donut plane route, where you just update the graphics and give a little more life. But as is, it's not horrible. I either prefer. It seems like when it comes to these retro, like really old 2D tracks, which would be the Super NES and the Game Boy game, I much prefer they either go the route of just changing it altogether, like they do with the Game Boy Advance games, or keep it as retro as possible. I actually did not mind the look of it in Mario Kart Wii. I liked the retro look of it. Ultimately, it's not a horrible rendition, and it's not bad inclusion at all. It is just a little underwhelming compared to what we would get, or what we have gotten so far in the Extra Cup. Alright, the third track is Calamari Desert. Now, I'm probably going to upset some people with this, so please leave a comment down below, just keep it clean. I never played Mario on Nintendo 64, so the first time I played this track was on the 3DS, and I will say I thought it was a pretty boring track. Not much happened. It was like a long curve, and it seems like unless you were on a fast cup or you had a very fast vehicle, it was a slog to get through. And I know there's a favorite among a lot of Mario Kart fans, and I think it matters if you grew up with the track. But for me, I didn't grow up with it. I had my first Mario Kart game was Double Dash, I believe. So, my first impression of it in the 3DS, I didn't like it that much. And coming here, I was actually pleasantly surprised. The first lap was, everything I expected. It's like, well, I was thinking to myself as I was racing, well, it's better here because the game is just faster overall, but still, it's kind of a barren track. Then the second lap rolls around and it changes, and I'm like, whoa, what is this? Now all of a sudden we have to drive on the train tracks. I'm like, okay, this actually does change it a lot. It actually makes it a lot better, I will admit. So I was pleasantly surprised, and this was a great remake and rendition of this track. So very kudos to Nintendo. This was a pleasant surprise. I'm very glad they did it. I don't know how other people feel about it. I know there's a lot of people kind of purists. Nintendo's Mario Kart 64 has such a following, but I can only go with my experience. And I've never played Mario Kart 64, so I don't have those memories that other people would have. Alright, the last track in Turnip Cup is Waluigi Pinball from the DS. I never played the DS Mario Kart, so my first exposure to this was on 3DS. And I will say it was definitely one of my favorite 3DS games, tracks on the 3DS. It's such a creative concept that it's hard not to love it. It's like Coconut Mall from the Wii. The concept itself lends itself to nostalgia or just a fun track design altogether, and this is how it feels. I unlike Calamari Desert, I think I feel more closely to this and the fans because Waluigi Pinball came from a fairly a game that has newer mechanics that translate much better to newer games as is than the older games. Very little has changed about this. The only thing they did was maybe change the graphics up a little bit, and I guess it's a minor complaint maybe, but I guess it's better they left it as is. It's still a fun track. I just love the concept of you start out like a pinball going up to shoot, and then you work your way around until you get onto the actual pinball table. But yeah, the only thing I would find annoying is the balls. The pinballs, they seem to be a little too random for my taste. I much prefer them in a pattern. That's a minor complaint. This track is still awesome, and I have to admit the soundtrack for it is banging. So ultimately, the Turnip Cup has its ups and downs, but I say it's still pretty good. It does kind of suck. It starts off on that weak note, but it looks like we're probably going to have, so far all 4 cups have started with a Mario Kart Tour track, And I hope it doesn't stick like that, but I have a feeling that will be the pattern. After I completed that, of course, a perfect 60, I don't think it's a secret that the CPUs on Mario Kart 8 Deluxe aren't exactly the brightest bunch in the pack. But after that, I went on to Propeller Cup. And I'm just going to say, spoiler warning, this was a significantly better cup in my opinion. First, let's start out with Sydney Sprint. Again, my complaints about the tour tracks carry over here, but I will admit that Sydney Sprint is my favorite tour track so far of the 5. The only other one I really liked, somewhat liked, would be the Paris Promenade, as I thought Tokyo Blur was kind of too similar to Paris, and Ninja Hideaway was the layout was a bit too convoluted for my liking, and of course New York Minute feels a little inspired. But Sydney Sprint feels really nice. First off, it's definitely the best looking. When you think about common cities that numerous entertainment apparatuses will reference, Paris, Tokyo, and New York all seem to be very common things that they do. You see a lot of New Yorks and Parises in like movies and video games and TV shows, etc., etc. But very rarely do you see a Sydney, and that's sad because Sydney is a beautiful city with the Opera House, and I think this track actually takes full advantage of that. And you go through Sydney at a pretty good rate. I really like the sections where you're curving around the parks. That was actually very surprising they went there. And of course, similar to New York Minute, in the third lap, they go through the Opera House. At least I think it goes through the Opera House. That's what it looks like, at least. So overall, it's a good track for tour. It's definitely the best track from the tour series. I still really hope they either read off the tour, or they have like out of their tracks. Like, I don't know, maybe a track that goes into a volcano or a track that goes into Mars, I don't know. They include those instead, because so far the tour tracks, I went from saying they're a pretty cool novelty to now saying they're kind of old and they've overstayed their welcome. We'll see. Next we have Snowland from the GBA. Now the GBA, Mario Kart, and Double Dash are my childhood. And some of my favorite tracks on Mario Kart 8 are the reimagined Game Boy Advance tracks. It's really fun to see them go all out for them. Mario Circuit, Ribbon Road, and Cheeseland are great renditions of very classic tracks from the GBA. And even Sky Garden from the last wave is also pretty good. And this one is no different. It changes it just enough where it feels kind of like a new track, but it still has the identity that I know and love from the Game Boy game. The funny part is, in the Game Boy game, I thought it was kind of mediocre, your generic snow track. But here it looks great. And it's kind of hard to explain why I like it. And it almost feels like going through a snowy forest, which is interesting because there aren't that many trees in the track, but that's what it feels like to me. Like you're going kind of racing through a snowy forest. And the track isn't as slippery as you might think, but it's still slippery. Ultimately, I think it's one of the best tracks from the wave because of the way they changed it up, similar to Cheeseland, which is arguably, and Ribbon Road, which are arguably two of the best retro tracks in Mario Kart 8. So I will say that this gives me like 2 thumbs up. So really like this track. There aren't too many things to complain about, except for the fact that the track layout is a little uninspired, but that is going to be due to the source material. Next we have Mushroom Gorge. Mushroom Gorge was definitely an iconic track from Mario Kart Wii, so I am not at all surprised that this is on here. This is a great track on Mario Kart Wii as an intermediate between the more casual tracks and the more zany tracks. There's a great in-betweener. So it's very nice to see this track appear here on Wave 2. It might be a little bland, I guess, for what we expect from Mario Kart 8, but that's not a really big deal. It's still a great layout for a track. The concept of bouncing on mushrooms and making sure you don't fall off is a wonderful design even today. And I still like the split off, even if I never take the track you never know, take the route outside the first set of mushrooms. This track is just inspiredly designed, and it fits great for the Mario Kart Wii setting, and it works great here as a nostalgia piece. And I still think it would probably be some of a lot of people's favorites if they never experienced it on the Wii. Just a great track all around. The only thing I would say is that they didn't really change a whole lot. Even the graphics seem a little like of the 8 new tracks, this one seems like it had the least care in graphics. Maybe that's because they thought that it looked the best. It looked great on the Wii as it is, but that's not a really big complaint because I still think it looks great. It was always one of the best looking tracks on the Wii. Now, last but not least, we have Sky High Sunday, an original track. Now, I was a little confused by this. When I saw the trailer for Wave 2, the first track it showed was Sky High Sunday, and my reaction when I saw the word new on it, and I was thinking, okay, why would I say new? I guess it's new for Mario Kart 8. Like it's a retro. I was thinking, okay, so it's from Tour, but it's new for the game. But it's like, no, this is a new track. This opens up so many possibilities. Now all of a sudden, the question has to ask, are we going to get new tracks? I was under the impression that all the tracks are going to be remakes of older tracks, even Mario Kart Tour, which would be retro tracks. But this opens up possibilities like, okay, so how many new tracks are we going to get? Will we get Cup that's all new tracks? Maybe a Wave that's all new tracks? What's going on here? And that alone gives this track so much hype. But I will have to admit that this is definitely the best track in Wave 2 and possibly the best track so far from all DLC. I don't really like saying when something new is the best, because then you get into the novelty fallacy where something is just because something is new does not mean it's the best. But I have to be honest, Sky High Sunday has to be the best track in this new wave. First off, it's ingenious to make it one of those always anti-gravity tracks, such as the Mute City tracks. I'm sorry, the F-Zero tracks or the Baby Park. Three of the best tracks on Mario Kart 8. Three of my favorites, at least. I don't know if it's in my head or not, but it feels like not only do the anti-gravity tracks seem faster, but also they seem to turn a little better. Like, you drift a lot easier from on the fully anti-gravity tracks. This, not only is this track very well designed, it feels like you're just rocketing through it, but it's also a very creative track. I mean, you're racing on ice cream, there's ice cream everywhere. I don't know if you guys remember a show I used to watch called Roly Poly Oly. They used to play a lot of old cartoons. Well, that was fairly new. A lot of old cartoons on Disney Junior when I was younger. Playhouse Disney. Disney Junior is what it's called now. And there's an episode of Roly Poly Oly where they went to an ice cream planet, and this reminded me a lot of that. So I got a nostalgia rush for something that really has no connection to the thing I was getting nostalgic for. But still, the idea of an ice cream themed a track is just really creative. It reminds me a little bit of what's it called here? Sweet Sweet Canyon, but Sweet Sweet Canyon is specifically just sweets, while this is specifically ice cream. But it's an oval, but it's basically an oval. Despite that, it's still really fun. It's really great to glide through a lot of track, and then when you hit the stairs, I was actually very surprised they made the rails give you a boost. Like you hit it, you twirl, and then you get a boost. They could easily have made that an obstacle, but they made it a boost, and that's just a really great touch. There's also ledges everywhere that you can trick off of. It's just a really great track. Very well designed, and gets me really excited for any new tracks they might get in the future. The only complaint I would have really would be that it's a little short. Like it's a really short track, but that's not really a big complaint for what you get. All right, that should do it. That's all 8 tracks I spoke about. Now let me give you an impromptu listing, ranking from 8 to 1, from worst to best, of the tracks. Let's see here. Well, number 8 has to be New York Minute. It's a little inspired like a New York track. I bet you guys were up on that thinking about that. And then, of course, there's the track that made me realize that these tour tracks are going to get really old really fast. Number 7 would be Mario Kart Circuit. only because they didn't really do as much as I thought they should have with the source material. They should have either gone the route of Donut Plains, where they just made it look really as nice as possible, or they go the route of the GBA and Smarter Circuit and just, go all out and completely update it. Here they didn't really do either. So, not a bad track, just a little underwhelming. Number 6 I would put at Sydney Sprint. It is definitely the best tour track, and it's definitely best looking, but still retains those problems, though to a lesser degree from the other tour tracks. Let's see here. Number 5, I would put, I guess, Mushroom Gorge. It's a great track. Like after Sydney Sprint, none of these are bad tracks. Mushroom Gorge is a great track as it is. It just feels a little underwhelming compared to what they could have done with it, but still a great track nonetheless. Number 4, I guess I would put Calamari Desert. I was never a big fan of this track to begin with, but the way they updated it really brought a smile to me and makes it a surprisingly very fun track. Number 3, I would put Waluigi Pinball. I only put number 3 instead of like number 1 or 2 is because, it's still a base track that I'm used to with very little updating. The graphics don't even look that improved from it, but still, it's Waluigi Pinball. I mean, how can you say no to that? Number 2, I put Snowland. I love it when they, I just love it when they bring those GBA games and just completely turn them around. It's not as dynamic as the way they turn around Ribbon Road or Cheeseland, but still a great adaptation nonetheless. And at number 1, I put Sky High Sunday. This is a very creative track, and I'm very glad it's on here. It also gets me excited for the possibility of other new tracks from the game. So here's hoping that we get more original tracks. This is a great track, very high speed, very creative concept, looks amazing, and probably the best track we got from the entire DLC so far. I guess that's all I have to say. So just want to thank you all for watching. Have a wonderful day, God bless, and let me leave you with some glove sounds, because this is an ASMR channel after all.